Hello, I'm Michael Kurland, CEO and co-founder of Branded Group, an award-winning facility maintenance and construction management company that services multi-site commercial properties such as retail, restaurants, healthcare facilities, and educational institutions. Welcome to the Be Better podcast. Each week, I interview thought leaders from a variety of industries who will share their stories and the lessons they learn as they strive to be better for their clients, partners, employees, and their community. Are you ready to be better? All right. Welcome to another episode of the Be Better podcast. I'm your host, Michael Kurland. Thank you for joining me. Joining us today is Stephen Jaramillo, project manager at Branded Group. So, Stephen, we know each other a little bit, and why don't you let the audience know who you are and what you do?
All right. Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me on here. As you mentioned, I'm a project manager with Branded Group, and I'm also a petty officer, second class in the Navy Reserve that I've been doing for about 6 years now.
Great. Well, really excited to have you on the show. Obviously, you work with me at Branded Group as a project manager. I do a great job at that. But I really wanted to get the audience to know the story behind the story, right? Like who you are and how you got to where you're at. So do me a favor. We talked pre-show kind of about where you're at 29, I think. Is that
yes?
You started going through a divorce. So why don't we start there? I'm sorry if I unearthed anything you didn't want to say, but let's start there. Let's start at your divorce and then take us up to, your life from there until when you enrolled in to become a petty officer. And I'll ping you along the way if there's any questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say I got married young. I got married at 27. Thought it was the right thing to do. We kind of did it for the wrong reasons. And unfortunately it just didn't work out.
As does, over 50% of marriages in America these days, right? It's you do it. I know for me, I did it because I thought it was the thing to do because my friends were doing it for my first marriage, right? And then I found out the same thing.
Life
did it for all the wrong reasons.
It just didn't, make it through. So after about 2 years, we mutually split. I moved back to Southern California. Stayed with my brother-in-law for a little while I got myself, kind of back on my feet. Ended up getting a job with Everest College. Everest College. So I worked at Verizon for about 12 years. I started there when I was 18 as a customer service rep, and I kind of worked my way up the ranks. From customer service rep, I was a sales rep. Then I went up to sales operations. Then I made my way up to business sales executive. And that was around the same time as my divorce. So I decided to make a career change. From there, I kind of just needed to kind of reset.
And where were you living at the time that this was going down?
I was living in Riverside County with my wife at the time. When we split, I moved to Yorba Linda to live with my brother-in-law for a few months until I got back on my feet. All during this time, I was also looking to transition away from Verizon and kind of start a new career path, just to kind of reset, get my mind off things. And that's when I ended up getting a job with Everest College as an admissions advisor.
So you totally uprooted your life. You went from being married and pretty well along a career path at Verizon, living out in Riverside County, and you uprooted everything. You became single, started a whole new career path, and moved to Orange County. So that's pretty intense right there. That's like scrubbing all three at one time. Similar to what I did. I mean, I didn't change careers. I just started a company, moved from Connecticut to California, and got divorced. So I can totally empathize, sympathize. I don't know. I don't even think those are bad things because it seems like we're both in better places, right? So
Right. Yeah.
I can totally see where you're coming from. How about that?
Yeah.
So continue.
So once I started with Everest College, I ended up getting my own place right there in downtown Anaheim. I got my own loft since the Everest College was right around the corner. But unfortunately, that job or career path was short-lived. The college altogether ended up getting into some trouble with the whole loan student process, and they eventually went bankrupt.
They were part of that scandal a couple years ago?
This was a few years back. They had about 3 rounds of layoffs. I was unfortunately part of the last round, and a few months after that, the company went bankrupt. And I lost my job. So I found myself unemployed for about 5 months.
And how old are you at this point?
At that point, I am 28, 29. Found myself unemployed for about 5 months. And I would say the first time in my life, I was in a situation where I've never been in. I've had a job since I was 15 years old, and I'm in a situation where I don't have a job. I've never been laid off before or let go. And I'm kind of just in this new position in my life where I kind of don't know what to do. And it was hard finding work at that time because, the economy was good. There was really nobody really hiring. And I just kind of found myself stuck in a situation where, I'm not sure what to do. I eventually had to move out of my apartment because I couldn't afford the rent. I didn't have income besides unemployment. And I had to move back to my parents' house in the meantime until I could figure out what was going on. So at that point, I really had a hard self-reflection moment in my life to where do I go from here? What's the best option for me that's going to give me the most opportunity, the most benefits? And I made the choice at that time to join the military. I didn't have anything really holding me back or tying me down back home besides, of course, my family and friends. But, I was going through my divorce. I didn't have any kids. I had no job. So, this seemed like the best opportunity or the best time.
But let's dig deeper into that. Cause you're 28, 29 at this point. Most of these guys that join the military are fresh out of high school, right? 18 years old, right?
Right.
So you made this conscious decision to go in. So go a little deeper into that. Like why the military? Not just because you had, you didn't have any kids or you didn't have a wife. Like what was it about the military that was the draw for you?
I come from a military family. My grandfather was in the Army, World War II, Korean War. I have a few uncles that were also in the military. So I've kind of been around it. And I've also spoke to my grandfather a few times. Back when I was 18, I wanted to join the Marines. And we had many conversations. And that was when I just started working with Verizon. So I decided to put off the military and kind of pursue Verizon. And now I found myself in a position where, like I mentioned, I really didn't have anything tying me down. But on the deeper level of it, I really wanted to prove to myself and challenge myself and put myself in a situation where I could overcome something. Because I just felt like I was on this downhill spiral. Not really have a lot of confidence in myself. Kind of felt like I just lost everything, with my relationship, with my job.
Rightfully so. You're in a dark place.
Yeah. And
let me ask you this. Were you, during that period of time before you joined the military, were you indulging in drugs, alcohol, things to get your mind off just going down a bad road, or were you just spending, like, what were you doing to deal with the issues that you were dealing with?
I was never really into drugs. I did go out with friends and drink often, but I'm very family oriented. So I spent most of my time with family. Just, having that support there was a big help.
So they didn't really let you get too down on yourself, right?
Yeah.
They
absolutely.
were there to be your support system. That's great.
Yeah.
So then you decided to join.
Yeah. So I got, to this point where I needed to challenge myself and to more or less prove to myself that I could overcome, difficulty, or I could overcome an obstacle. So I made the decision to join the military. While I was going through the process, it's a lengthy process. It takes a few months to actually join and sign and do your swear in. It takes like 4 months or so. During that process, I ended up getting a job offer for a fire protection company in Irvine. And so I found myself in a predicament where, do I continue this course with the military, or do I accept this job and kind of continue, doing the same thing I've been doing, in a sense? So I decided to accept the job, but I also decided to keep my commitment to pursuing the military. And instead of going 4 years on active duty, I joined 6 years as a reservist.
And so can you just explain the difference to the audience in case they don't know the difference?
So active duty, it's a 4-year contract. You sign up, you go to basic training, and then you get assigned to a ship, and you're attached to that ship until you get a new set of orders. As a reservist, you go through the same process. You go to basic training, you go to your A school, and then you get sent back home, and you get attached to a NOSC. It's a Naval Operational Support Center. That's your home base that we go to 1 week in a month, and 2 to 3 weeks out of the year, we'll go to, it's called annual training, AT, and we perform whatever your job is in the military. So it just kind of depends on your specific rate or your job that will determine what you do on your AT. Okay,
great. Thank you for that. And then tell me this. So you had to go to basic training.
Yeah, so I went to basic training. I got hired with the fire protection company, and probably, I'll say 5 months in, I had to leave for basic training. So I left to Great Lakes, Illinois, in December. It was cold. I got to like negative 13 degrees, and we were outside marching in the snow. So that was an experience. But I was gone.
And were you the 30-year-old guy with the 18-year-olds?
So my division, there was about 120 of us. The majority of them were young guys, 18, 19, early 20s. There was a few mid-20s. I was one of the older guys in the group. There was a 34-year-old. I had just turned 30 at the time, so I was 30, and then there was a 28. We were considered the old guys in the bunch.
What I wouldn't do to be 28, 29 again.
Yeah. So that was interesting. It was a big mental change to be 29, 30 years old and being told when to go to sleep, when I can eat, when I can go to the bathroom, having to shower with 25 guys at a time. It was hard to kind of make that transition, to kind of, have to sit back and listen, take orders, and do what you're told. And as a 30-year-old,
and wasn't your drill sergeant, or is that what they're called, drill sergeant?
In the Navy, they're called RTCs.
Wasn't your RTC younger than you as well?
Yeah. There were also, you know, mid-20s. So that was an adjustment that I had to take.
You seem like a very even-keeled guy, though, so I think you can handle this kind of stuff. Obviously.
Yeah. I can be quiet and take orders and just get through it.
I would have done so many push-ups if I was in the military. I cannot get yelled at by other people. So sorry.
Yeah.
Keep on going.
So basic training, that was about 8 weeks. And then following basic training, I went to my A school. So I joined the Navy. I don't know if I mentioned that. I joined the Navy. My rate or my job is a naval electrician, an EM, electrician mate. So following basic training, I went to my A school, which is my overall school to get my fundamental knowledge for my job. That was about 7 to 8 months. It's pretty much like military college. We live in barracks. We have 4 roommates. We have bunks with a desk. We're in class 8 hours a day. We're attached to a duty section. So certain days you might have additional duty that you have to do, stand watch, stuff like that. So that was an experience all in itself to kind of be in college again, but with a military twist. We marched everywhere. We had to get information, march to class, march back to our barracks. So that whole situation was new and different for me. But I was able to complete all my courses. I did like a Common Core engineering course, an apprentice technical training course, and electrician mate, kind of like basic fundamental course that I had to complete and graduate before I can be sent home. So I was able to complete that. Came back home, went back to my fire protection job. Found myself kind of getting involved with projects with that company. I started dabbling in a few small projects and really kind of started to enjoy the process of the planning, scheduling, budgeting with projects. So I decided to look more into it and take some courses outside of the company. Some classes, some courses to kind of just build my knowledge on the whole aspect of project management. And come to find out, the military had offers. They have a program. It's called the Navy Cool Program, where based on your rank and your rate, your job, you qualify for certain civilian certifications that kind of correlate with your job on the civilian side and on the military side. So I was able to get my project management certification from PMI through the military. They paid for my classes and my course and paid for me to take my test. So that was one of the benefits that I was able to use that helped my civilian career kind of move forward on that aspect. Soon after I got that, I transitioned into a new job where I was able to get more involved in project management. So
still with the fire protection company?
No, it was with a new company. This company, it was called Glidewell Laboratories, also located in Irvine.
I literally drove past it yesterday on the way to my chiropractor, who's right across the street. And then she just moved there. It's funny. You just solved a mystery for me. I was driving there and I saw Glidewell and I was like, why do I know this name? Someone was talking about this with me recently. I can't remember who. And it was you when we were talking pre-show. So thank you for solving that mystery for me.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I don't, if nobody knows who Glidewell is, they are like the Apple of the dental world. The CEO, Mr. Glidewell, kind of started this company in his garage. He had this idea of having affordable dental implants for everybody, and he grew this company to what it is today. It's one of the largest dental production companies in the world. they happen to have an in-house construction team that does all of their in-house TIs, new builds, dental laboratories. So I was able to get hired on their construction team as a project administrator, where I got to kind of manage my own projects. And that's where I kind of got more involved with that whole project construction facilities field of work. And also my Navy experience being an electrician kind of played a part into the whole aspect, working with electricians, working with the electrician team, just being familiar with the process and what they're talking about, being able to read the plans.
Yeah, your skill set is very unique, at least from our point of view in the project management, because usually you get someone who knows the administrative portion of it and they're probably not as good technically, or someone who's technically great but isn't as good administratively. But with you, that was what we were drawn to, is the fact that you had both and you were able to, you know, really hone that in. So anyway, keep doing a good job.
And that's one of the reasons why I kind of chose the electrician job, is because I knew it would be easy to transfer over to the civilian side. And even talking with, GCs or, electricians, since I do that on the military side and I get hands-on, it's easier for me to communicate and know what they're talking about because I have that on hand, experience and knowledge. So working at Glidewell, got more involved with projects, found myself wanting to gain more experience. And I happened to come across Branded Group. I got a referral from a colleague, Jen Daly. I worked with her before, and she, hit me up and said, you know what, there's an opportunity here. It's a great company. You should check them out. I kind of read up on the company, loved what Branded Group was doing, especially with the community. And I was able to get a job offer, as a project coordinator, got involved. And soon after, I was able to get promoted to, the project manager position that I have now. But unfortunately, only, being with you guys for about 8 months. And in the early stages of the whole pandemic situation, I got called, my unit got activated, and I got deployed for a COVID-19 response up to Washington State. So,
talk about that. So you were working for us for 8 months, like you said. You then, I think during those first 8 months, you definitely had a week of active duty too, at one point, right? And then you went to, you came back and you said, I just got called active duty for, what was it, like 1 to 2 years? You didn't know at the time, right?
Yeah. They were, it was supposed to be like 16 months that we were going to get deployed. But it ended up being about 10 months once everything finished. But that was the first time our my unit, Surge Bane unit, was ever activated. So it was kind of like a milestone with the unit in itself. And pretty much all of our weekends and our annual trainings is what prepares us for a situation like this. This is what we're been training for. This is what, we are meant to do. So when the call came out, we answered the call, and I think there's about 1,600 of us that got activated, and we're kind of spread across the four to five major naval bases across the U.S.
And so what were you doing when you were on active duty? I don't know if you can go too deep into whatever, but just like on a daily, what were you kind of getting into?
So initially, my first 2 months, because of my Navy job, electrician, I was assigned to a temporary services shop. So any boat or submarine that came into port, our job was to connect shore power, install any lighting that they needed throughout the boat, install any ventilation they need, install fire hoses, fire trees throughout the boat. And then once they're done, take everything apart, take it off the boat. So it was very labor intensive, especially in Washington. Very cold in the mornings. It can get 20 degrees, and we're still out there, working, hauling 8-inch ventilation piping down a few flights of decks, and it was different, different than being a project manager, for sure.
Sure, yeah, you definitely earned your supper every day.
Oh yeah, definitely. So after the 2 months, we kind of had a touch base with the Master Chief down there, kind of just a one-on-one. They wanted to get to know us and what we do on the civilian side, and he acknowledged that I did project management. So after our little meeting, he asked me to stick around, and he asked me if I was interested in doing something else, and I
hell
said,
yeah,
sure. Yeah, sure. What do you got for me? So they made me the repair officer's executive administrator. He pretty much told me, we want to use your project management experience to help facilitate some things for the repair officer, to make their lives easier, to help them streamline some processes. So I was like, yeah, sure. Let me see what I can do. So I was able to help them, transition the bulk of their communication to a virtual environment because of the whole COVID situation and the social distancing. I was able to help them transition into using Microsoft Teams for the majority of their communication for the production. I also helped them transition into using Microsoft projects to be able to manage their scheduling, track their critical path work, and some other administrative changes that I was able to implement and help them streamline their department, the whole repair department itself. So I found myself utilizing my civilian experience into my military job, which is kind of unique. It's usually the other way around. But in this situation, it kind of worked out for my benefit, being able to, use my civilian experience in my military position during a mobilization.
That's awesome. And then, so while you were gone, we kept your seat warm for you. So talk a little bit about that, and then we'll get into like a couple more things, and we'll wrap up. So tell us.
So it was hard enough having to, get up and leave my home. We had 30 days to pretty much get all of our gear ready and kind of just up and move to a different state. That whole process was stressful in itself. And getting situated over there was a process. So during my 10 months I was gone, I had multiple people reach out to me from Branded Group, just, checking up on me, seeing how I was doing, wishing me, success, saying it, we miss you here. I got invited to a lot of Branded Group's, virtual, happy hours and stuff like that. Unfortunately, because of my schedule, I wasn't able to join, but just the fact that, the company, the people that reach out to me took the time to kind of just show me their support and letting me know that, I'm not forgotten. I'm still, part of the team, part of the family. That was a great feeling, especially being away from, family and friends back home. So I thought that was pretty cool. I've been deployed, or not deployed, but with the previous company when I was gone for 8 months, I didn't get any of that. I could already see the difference in seeing how just Branded Group treated their employees, and treated me in the situation. And it honestly felt like a family. So I appreciated that, knowing that, Branded Group was there. And I was excited to come back to you guys.
Yeah, and you even nominated us for an award.
Yeah, so
talk a little bit about that. That was really cool. We were so honored to get the award. So let the audience know a little bit about that.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, just the continued communication and continued support, even before getting mobilized. Just the accommodation Branded Group made for me. Just if it was needing a day off to get some military stuff done, or needing to leave early for to get anything done military wise, I was accommodated. And especially during the whole pandemic, with things that were going on with businesses and different companies, and just the continued support Branded Group showed me throughout this whole process. So to show my gratitude and my appreciation, I was able to nominate Branded Group and the executive teams, the executive team members, as well as my direct supervisor Andra, for the Patriot Award, which just recognizes the overall support Branded Group and each of you guys gave me, and it just in the support of the Guard and Reserve component of the military. It shows how passionate you guys are, in your overall support for the sacrifices that we have to make, and just you guys being able to accommodate that and just support us while we're answering the call of duty.
Yeah, I gotta say, we've received numerous awards over the years, but I think by far this is my favorite award that we've ever won. So really appreciate you doing that for us, but really more so appreciate that you came back safe and sound, and now you're back and working with us and the family. So thank you for your service, and appreciate everything that you do for the country and for us. So this is really a great Be Better story of, you took your life and you didn't know where you're going, and the military is an option. It doesn't matter how old you are, and you can make a career out of it, or you can make it what you want it to be, right? So you made it. You've done nothing but taken every opportunity that they've given you and just expounded upon it and made yourself better. So thank you for doing that as well. So Stephen, if the audience wants to get a hold of you, how can they do so?
You can find me on LinkedIn, my LinkedIn profile. I do have an Instagram. It's more of just my personal Instagram, but you can find me on there as well. Or my Branded Group email, or
you got to give them to the audience. What's your Instagram handle? What's your LinkedIn name to look for, and what's your email address?
Email address, it's SJaramillo@brandedgroup.com. My Instagram, it's Stevie_Steve3.
Stevie3, I like it.
And my LinkedIn, it should just be my name, Stephen Jaramillo.
Perfect. LinkedIn. Well, this has been a great conversation, Stephen. I really appreciate everything you do. So thank you, and audience, until next time. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that today's episode inspired you to become a purpose-driven leader in your career or your community. There is no doubt that when we lead with purpose, we can change lives. If you enjoyed today's show, I'd be grateful if you would take a moment to rate us on your preferred listening platform. To learn more about Branded Group's Be Better experience and how we provide industry-leading, on-demand facility maintenance, construction management, and special project implementation, visit us at www.branded-group.com. Be sure to follow us on social media, and you can also reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. Until next time, be better.